Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We'll still be doing movie reviews, of course. But today we're actually given an opportunity to review an animation director's film. He has his own company. His name is Evan Jacobs, and the name of his company is Anhednia Films, I believe. I guess I'm saying that right. And the movie that he had us review today that we're going to be talking about is called Cool Summer. And so we're just going to spend a couple moments talking about that real quick. So I'll just give kind of a brief synopsis of Cool Summer. So it's basically an animated film that I believe he wrote and produced himself, and he did, I guess, all the animation on. And the basic story, it's about these, 12-year-olds who hear on the radio about a killer that they're calling the Ghost that basically killed like a family, and they're, I guess, a town away from the small town that they live in. And so the kids are a little freaked out. Also, obviously, the summer is coming to an end, and they really haven't done a whole lot of things over the course of the summer. They haven't, hung out with girls. They haven't, done anything fun, apparently. And so it just so happens that they end up getting an invite to kind of like an arcade type party by these two other girls who, for one, are interested in, I guess, getting high or smoking weed. And also should note that the film is also set in the 80s as well, who want to, get high and smoke weed and that kind of stuff. And so it basically takes the three main boys that are 12 years old. They end up basically kind of spend the night at one boy's house, and then their plan was to have the older brother take them to the movies or take them to the arcade to meet up with these girls. And then the brother never shows up, and then a mysterious car starts basically rolling through their neighborhood, and it's like another older kid that they don't know from the neighborhood. They end up kind of like knocking him out. And then when he comes to, for some reason, he offers to, like, I don't know, bribe them with drugs and alcohol, and take them to the arcade to meet up with these girls. The guy's kind of creepy. They think that he may actually be the ghost killer, but they're not for sure if it's him or not. But in any event, they reluctantly or decide to go and hang out with this guy for the night. And, and he does mostly provide them with their drugs and alcohol that they were looking for and that kind of stuff. And I don't want to get too much into it in case you do want to watch it. The film is actually available on online on Vimeo.com. I think you have to pay like $1, I believe, if you want to actually watch this film. But you can find it online. This was the Google Drive that he sent us to watch it on, but it would be Vimeo.com. It's a very, obviously a very low budget film. The guy did, he did all the work himself, and, he did all the animation himself. So, you definitely have to give credit on that. As far as the story, the story is not terribly bad per se about the story. It's kind of a basic thing, kids in the 80s and that sort of stuff. I did have a few issues, obviously, with the film itself. The first being for me was that, these are supposed to be like 12-year-olds, and they're like partaking in like drugs and alcohol, and that they're wanting to like hook up with chicks and stuff like that. And me personally, as being a kid, partially in the 80s and in the 90s, I don't think that at 12 I was worried about that kind of stuff personally. I don't know about you, but I wasn't personally worried about that stuff. And then yeah. And then, and then the other thing is that the main actors, they didn't sound like kids at all. They didn't even make an attempt to disguise their voices, or, if you're going to use adult actors to play these parts, they shouldn't sound like 40, 50-year-old men. And so it was a little weird, and I don't know if that was meant or purposely to be like satirical, but it was kind of a little jarring to listen to like these guys with like deep voices that are playing 12-year-olds. So I had a little bit issue with that. The story, it is what it is. And then obviously the animation, it's not the best animation that I've ever seen, but for someone that pretty much made it themselves, it's not the worst I've seen either. But I mean, overall, I mean, it's not something I would probably watch again per se. He definitely is off to a start of this, and this doesn't sound like it's the director's first film, but I don't know if his other films are animated. This might be his first animated feature, which I'm not 100% sure of. But overall, nothing overly impressive. Nothing, it's about an hour and 15 minutes long. You get the general gist of the story, but I can't say that it was something that I would personally revisit. I guess would be my take. I don't know your thoughts on it, Jason.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, I mean, like, kudos, credit where credit's due. I know I'm very aware of the idea that those who can do and those who can't criticize. So first of all, I've never made a feature film. I have all the respect in the world to anybody who gets a feature film made. That's awesome. That said, I mean, it's a very low budget movie. I like the story. I think the story could work as a live action. I think it would be better, but I know that's a million times harder to do it live action. I know that. But I think it could work as a movie for sure. I like some of the music. Like, I really like the theme song in the beginning. It kind of reminded me of the funky theme song for Friday the 13th Part 3 a lot. And the filmmaker might get that reference. I don't know. But it's that kind of like cool theme music. Let me see. My main problem with the movie was that it's just kind of, how do I describe this? It's kind of like just flat all the way along. Right. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about like life or death things that are happening here. Right. And the whole movie, like, so I guess it's the voice acting, I guess.
Yeah, and that was kind of my issue as well. Was the voice acting? Is that the guys were not only were they clearly not 12-year-olds, but they were monotone pretty much the entire movie. There was no like scared or I'm scared or that kind of stuff. It just didn't kind of go along with the theme of the film, I felt like.
Yeah, pretty much anything that was happening, life or death, it was all, the voice acting was just, so what are we, what are we going to do now? It's very flat. And, right. And I second what you said about the clearly they're not 12-year-olds, clearly. And I think maybe that was intentional.
I couldn't tell if it was or not, but yeah.
It didn't really translate as a joke if it was supposed to be. And the one guy, I forget the character's name, but to me, I don't know if it was the same for you, but it sounded like he was doing like a Butthead impersonation the whole time. That's the first thing I thought was, why do you want to do that? You know what I mean? Like, get some beer. You know what I mean? It just sounded like he was doing like a Butthead impersonation the whole time. So, again, it was probably intended to be funny, but it didn't really translate as a joke. Again, like, I like the story, I like the music. But credit where credit's due, but it wasn't a great film.
Yeah. So, I think it's something that, and like I said, neither one of us are filmmakers. I mean, we were in classes where we kind of made, little funny spoofs and that kind of stuff when we were in college. But, we've never done anything to this capacity where we actually, made like a kind of a feature film and that kind of stuff. And like you said, you got to give credit to somebody that's actually doing the art and actually trying.
It's interesting you're talking about it. I realize that.
And we're critics. So, this is what we do. We're paid to, or we're here to watch films. Paid.
You're paid?
We're here to watch films and basically give our honest opinion of it. And I always, I'm a big fan of the art of film, and I'm a big fan of anybody that's trying to do something, that's good. And there's always something positive to say about that because it's something that I don't know how to do. I'm not a cartoonist and I wouldn't have the foggiest idea how to go and make a feature-length film. It's just something I've never done before. So I always give credit where credit is due in that capacity. And I think that's great. I think it's a very noble thing that this guy's actually trying. He's actually making films. But, with that said, and to be fair, there's definitely some improvement that I think you could make with a film. Me personally, I would start with your actors. If you're going to use adult actors to play kids, and if that's the point, then it should be more. I think there should be more humor there, and I think that the guy should be, I don't know, a little less monotone, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
it's a little bit of urgency. If it's life and death things going on,
right.
Everybody's just talking like this the whole time, pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah. I mean, they're in a car with a guy that potentially could be a killer, and they're like, "Gee, I sure hope this guy is not the killer. I sure hope that he's on the up and up." And you know what I mean. And it's just like it just didn't really go with the flow of the film. I feel like if I'm in a car with that I think that somebody might be a killer, I'm going to be a little bit more animated. Like, why the heck are we in this car with this guy? You know what I mean? This guy potentially could be a killer. What are we doing? And it's just that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And it doesn't take a lot of acting just to emphasize your voice or just give some sort of overall expression. But like I said, overall, it just felt like a film that could use a little bit of improvement, in my opinion. So
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, but from the very limited filmmaking experience I have, I know it's a whole lot easier said than done.
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, yeah, and like I said, I'm not
the stuff that's in your head doesn't always. It's harder than you think to get it to the screen.
No, I completely agree, and like I said, I take nothing away. But when we do these reviews, I kind of have to review the films as if it was because we reviewed other films where it's been a first time director, like Sella and the Spades and that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? And you kind of got to give the same. The fair shake to everything that comes our way. If we're going to review it, we're going to have to review it honestly, and and ultimately tell you kind of what we thought and where we think you can improve upon. And I think that there is some room for improvement. I think that you had the right idea. I think the story is fine in itself, but I think if you're going to do a cartoon version of it, I definitely would get some actors maybe can emphasize a little bit more and not be so monotone. And I don't know that, obviously the cartoon was decent. I mean, it wasn't, they're kind of like moving, like kind of like stick figures along, kind of like, like that, you know what I mean? So, which I'm not going to fault too much. If the story was a little bit better, it probably wouldn't have bothered me as much. But because the acting also wasn't that great and they were very monotone, it felt just really monotone. They're like, I don't know, man. I think we should just, you know what I mean? So it just kind of felt really monotone, and it kind of felt like you're kind of going through the motions to almost kind of get through the film in some capacity. So just my overall take. Well,
yeah.
With that said, we like to do the faces and the grades. So I'm gonna kick it off to you and kind of say, what kind of grade would you give this film? Cool Summer, and the face you would give it.
I would give it a 2.5 out of 5, so a C, which would be this face. So just factoring in the will to get it done with being impartial, I guess you could say. I'm gonna give it a C and wish him all the luck in the future.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna go a little lower. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5, which is probably also a C grade for me, I guess, if you will. I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5. Like I said, I did appreciate the work that he put into it. There is something there. I've actually sat through some films that I felt were more painful. I've actually walked out of films before. There's actually been some films that I've actually have walked out of films before.
What did you walk out of before?
I walked out of Crank 2.
Crank? What? That movie's awesome.
I didn't care for that at all. In any event, I walked out of it. Yeah, I walked out of it. Yeah, and then there's films at home that I've started watching. That's a little easier. That I started watching and I just turned away. So I did finish this. So that's a plus in itself. So I didn't just say the heck with it and turn it off or anything. So I will give it a 2 out of 5. I'm going to give it a straight face. So straight face, and like I said, there is something there, but definitely I think there's definitely some improvements that you could make on that, and hopefully, if you care, if you're listening to our criticism, there's some things that maybe you work on for the next film and see how it goes from there. So, just my overall take. That's our grade. So well, once again, we thank everybody for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, always make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like this, like our reviews, and always hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our new uploads. And we'll be back with a new video real soon. Thanks so much and have a great day. Bye.